You've seen Caitlin Clark break records and dominate on the court, but did you know there might be a plot to keep her from being Rookie of the Year? Dan Patrick just dropped a bombshell about what's really going on behind the scenes in the WNBA. And trust me, you're gonna want to hear this. You might think the WNBA's plan to slow down Caitlin Clark would work, but guess what? It backfired spectacularly. Clark's WNBA debut wasn't just good, it was historic. She didn't just play well, she dominated. Can you believe she recorded a triple-double in her very first game? That's right, 19 points, 12 rebounds, and 13 assists. Oh, and let's not forget the 2 steals she snagged. Clark became the first WNBA rookie ever to achieve this feat. Talk about making a statement. But Clark wasn't done there. She kept pushing, kept breaking records. In just 8 games, she became the fastest rookie in WNBA history to surpass 100 points and 50 assists. That's not just fast, that's lightning speed. It's like she's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Now you might be wondering, how is she doing this? What makes Clark so special? Well, it's not just her scoring ability. Sure, she's leading all rookies in points, but it's her playmaking that's really turning heads. Clark is averaging 7.4 assists per game. That's just a hair shy of the all-time rookie record of 7.5 assists per game. Can you imagine if she breaks that record too? But here's where it gets really interesting. Dan Patrick, the Dan Patrick was blown away by Clark's ability to see plays develop. He said it's like she's got eyes in the back of her head. Patrick thinks it's because of her background in soccer. It's given her this incredible court vision that's leaving defenders scratching their head. Now you might be thinking, okay, she's good, but is she really that special? Well, let me hit you with this stat. Clark is only the 4th rookie in WNBA history to achieve 50 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists in her first 3 games. And remember, she's doing this against the best players in the world. This isn't college anymore. These are seasoned pros, and Clark is making it look easy. But wait, there's more. Clark isn't just breaking league records. She's shattering franchise records too. She's already set new marks for assists in a single quarter and in a single game for the Indiana Fever. It's like she walked into the league and said, "These records? Yeah, they're mine now." Now, here's where things get a bit tricky. Despite Clark's incredible individual performances, her team, the Indiana Fever, started the season with a tough 0-5 record. Can you imagine how frustrating that must be? You're playing out of your mind, breaking records left and right, but your team just can't seem to get a win. But you know what? That's where Clark's true character shines through. She's not letting the losses get her down. She's still out there game after game giving it her all. It's like she's saying, "Bring it on. I'll take on the whole league if I have to." Now, you might be thinking, wait a second, why would the WNBA want to hold back its biggest star? It sounds crazy, right? But that's exactly what Dan Patrick just revealed. And let me tell you, it's not just shocking, it's downright disturbing. So here's the deal. Dan Patrick dropped a bombshell about how the WNBA is treating Caitlin Clark. He said, and I quote, "What this is expected of Caitlin Clark. She's not the Rookie of the Year. Angel Reese is because that's a surprise." Can you believe that? They're basically saying Clark's amazing performances don't count because she's too good. But wait, it gets even crazier. Patrick wasn't just talking about Clark. He pointed out this weird double standard between how people are treating Clark and Angel Reese. It's like they're playing 2 different games with 2 different sets of rules. Now, you might be wondering, who's Angel Reese? She's another fantastic rookie in the WNBA. But here's the thing. While Clark is breaking records left and right, some people are trying to downplay her achievements. Why? Because they say it's what everyone expected from her. But since when is meeting incredibly high expectations a bad thing? Imagine if we did this in other sports. "Oh, sorry, LeBron, you can't be MVP because we expected you to be amazing." It's ridiculous, right? And it's not just Dan Patrick saying this. Other sports commentators are noticing it too. Colin Cowherd pointed out how some media outlets are focusing on Clark's bad games instead of her improving performance each week. He said it seems to be part of some people's agendas. But why? What's the real motive here? Is it really about creating competition? Or is there something more going on? Some people like Jason Whitlock think the WNBA is intentionally trying to dim Clark's star to make other players shine brighter. Doesn't that seem, counterproductive? Think about it. Clark is bringing more attention attention to the WNBA than ever before. She's breaking records, she's exciting to watch, and she's getting people talking about women's basketball. Isn't that exactly what the league should want? But instead of celebrating her success, it feels like there's this weird push to downplay it. It's like they're saying, yeah, she's good, but let's talk about someone else. Can you imagine how frustrating that must be for Clark? And here's where it gets really interesting. Despite all this, Clark is still out there, game after game, giving it her all. She's not letting the noise get to her. She's just playing her game, breaking records, and leaving everyone in awe. You might think the WNBA would be thrilled to have a superstar like Caitlin Clark, right? Well, get this. The fans are going wild for her, but it seems like some in the league aren't so excited. Can you believe Clark is leading the All-Star voting with a whopping 700,000 votes? That's not just good, that's incredible. Here's where things get really weird. While the fans are showing Clark all this love, it feels like some in the media and the league are trying to downplay her success. It's like they're saying, yeah, she's good, but we expected that. Can you imagine if we did that in other sports? Sorry, LeBron, your 30-point triple-double doesn't count because we knew you'd be great. Now, you might be wondering, why is this happening? It turns out Clark's situation is shining a light on a bigger problem in women's sports. Female athletes often have to fight twice as hard for recognition. It's not enough to be great, they have to be unexpectedly great to get attention. Think about it, Clark is breaking records left and right, but some people are acting like it's no big deal. Why? Because they say it was expected. But since when is meeting incredibly high expectations a bad thing? It's like they're moving the goalposts on her. And it's not just Clark facing this issue. Women's sports in general often struggle to get the recognition they deserve. It's like there's this invisible barrier that female athletes have to break through, even when they're performing at the highest level. But here's where it gets interesting. Clark's supporters aren't taking this lying down. They're rallying behind her, demanding fair recognition for her historic achievements. They're saying, look at what she's doing on the court. How can you ignore that? Some fans are even taking to social media to highlight Clark's achievements, creating their own highlight reels and spreading the word about her incredible performances. It's like they're saying, if the official channels won't give her the recognition she deserves, we'll do it ourselves. And you know what? It's starting to make a difference. The sheer volume of fan support is forcing people to pay attention. It's hard to ignore 700,000 votes after all, but there's still a long way to go. Some are calling for changes in how women's sports are covered in the media. They're saying we need more diverse voices in sports journalism, people who understand the unique challenges female athletes face. Others are pushing for more investment in women's sports. They argue that with more resources, leagues like the WNBA can better promote their stars and give them the platform they deserve. And then there's the idea of changing how we talk about women's sports. Instead of comparing female athletes to their male counterparts, why not celebrate their achievements in their own right? After all, what Clark is doing is incredible, period. It doesn't need to be qualified or compared to anyone else. You know, what's happening with Caitlin Clark isn't just about one player, it's about the future of women's basketball. Can you believe the impact she's having? Clark isn't just breaking records, she's changing the game. Think about it. When was the last time you saw this much buzz around the WNBA? Clark's incredible performances are getting people talking, not just about her, but about women's basketball as a whole. She's bringing in new fans, getting more media coverage, and showing everyone just how exciting women's sports can be. But here's where it gets really interesting. Clark's success isn't just good for her. It's good for the entire league. More fans mean more tickets sold, more merchandise bought, and more TV deals. It's like a snowball effect. The better Clark does, more attention the WNBA gets, and the more opportunities open up for all the players. Now, you might be thinking, that's great, but what if the league doesn't recognize Clark's achievements? Well, that's where things could get messy. Imagine if the NBA had ignored Michael Jordan's impact back in the day. Crazy, right? Basically what some people are worried might happen with Clark. If the WNBA doesn't properly recognize what Clark is doing, it could have some serious consequences. We're talking about lost opportunities, disappointed fans, and maybe even some players wondering if they'll get the recognition they deserve. It's not just about trophies and awards. It's about respect for the game and the athletes who play it. But it's not all doom and gloom. Clark's situation is shining a light on some big issues in sports media and how leagues treat their stars. stars. People are starting to ask tough questions. Why are some achievements celebrated while others are downplayed? Is there a bias against women's sports? And most importantly, how can we fix it? These aren't easy questions to answer, but they're important ones. Because here's the thing, it's not just about Clark. It's about all the young girls watching her play, dreaming of following in her footsteps. It's about creating a fair playing field where talent and hard work are recognized, regardless of gender. So what can be done? Well, for starters, we need more diverse voices in sports media. We need people who understand the unique challenges female athletes face. We need fair and balanced coverage that celebrates achievements in women's sports just as much as men's. And it's not just about the media. Leagues like the WNBA need to step up too. They need to invest in promoting their stars, creating engaging content, and building a strong fan base. Because when the league succeeds, everyone wins. You know what? Change is already happening. Clark's incredible performances are forcing people to pay attention. More and more fans are tuning in to watch women's basketball. Media outlets are starting to give women's sports the coverage they deserve. It's like a tidal wave of change, and Clark is right at the front of it. And here's the really exciting part. Clark isn't alone. There are so many talented women in sports pushing boundaries and breaking records. From Simone Biles in gymnastics to Megan Rapinoe in soccer, women are showing the world just how incredible they can be. And with each amazing performance, they're changing perceptions and opening doors for the next generation.